Hello, and thank you for tuning in to my video. Today I'm going to make a very short video about reading books, the value of books, what they can give you, what they can teach you, what you can make out of it, and how it all sums up to make a big difference in the person you become, the quality of life you live, the way you behave with others, the number of lives you touch, the total value you create and contribute, the fortune you attract, the fortune you create rather, and the magic that you live altogether. Books in today's times is not really fashionable with all the information that we have, with the rise of social media and the addiction that we have on it. I would argue that the conventional wisdom of book is not really the famous way, the famous method of learning. The rise of television and internet and social media has made our lives such that the urgent and the important information is all presented to us in the internet, so there's no need to go and refer to newspapers or books or journals. But other than that, other than the important and the urgent, the wisdom that is captured in books is not really it's not possible for us to get that from the internet, from the web, and that's where a big gap comes in human lives, in the lives of our generations and the younger generation. Reading books, different books, good books, books that interest you, but more importantly books that can teach you something in the person that you want to become, make a big difference in the quality of your life. This is what I say to everyone: if you have an intention to read a book, and you read a book with one thought, and that is that if I get one idea that I can apply to the rest of my life out of this book, then this book is worth reading. The time and the money I spend on this is worth it. Because guess what? Your whole life is nothing but the collection of the consequences of your habits and behaviors, those that you do in your everyday lives, not the ones that you take once in a year. What affects your life is what you do consistently and regularly, not what you do sometimes. If you're lazy sometimes, it's absolutely perfect. If you're always lazy, there's something wrong with you. There's something that needs to be fixed within you. Nothing wrong with you. You need to look deeper to find the answer of why you're being lazy, for instance. So that when I approach a book, if I'm not doing it for pleasure, then the way I do it is I say, okay, I'm going to read this book for one reason, and that is that besides the enjoyment and the knowledge that I gain, if I get just one crucial idea that I could apply for the rest of my life, then this book is worth it. And I can assure you from my experience of reading loads of books, no matter how crappy a book it may be, if you make a good selection of books, you will always have more, just immensely more than one idea. And if you have a sincerity in finding the answers, in finding the wisdom, because you want to be a more intelligent person, because you want to be a better person, in that you behave with a higher standard to your family, to your friends, you make better decisions about your health, about your finances, about your career, about your spirituality, about your religion, then you have no choice but to read books. Two things really. Number one is you make a correct selection of books. Number two, you read the right books. 1 second. Sorry. So I was saying, once you select the right books and you read the right books with sincerity and with open mind, where you want to learn and where you want to enhance yourself and you want to free yourself, reading books gives you that knowledge, that wisdom, that if you are open to it, then your dependence on other people and other things, internet and websites and experts, they'll slowly fade away. It's not bad to depend on somebody else, but if you want to be absolutely free, and if you want to free others, then that's the way you can do it. The way you can be free is by being, is by cutting that reliability that you have on others, the dependence that you have on others, never allows you to be free. If you want to be absolutely free, it means you are not dependent on anything or anyone in the world. That is what it means to be absolutely free. And that is the only way you can free someone else. If you are not free within and without, then you cannot free someone else. You cannot take someone to a place you've never been yourself. That's the way life works. So, that's one thing I say. That's one of the reasons you should study is, the motivation is that besides the fun and the excitement that you get as you read a book, it's also very important to note that any one idea can change your life. That saying that all it takes to change your life is an open mind. You could come across a person who gives you a conversation that changes your life. You could come across a music that when you hear it, it changes your life. You could come across a book, a page, a paragraph, a word that when you look at it, something inside you changes, and your life is different from tomorrow. You may read 100 books that don't mean anything to you, but if you continue that habit with sincerity, maybe there's something special for you in the 101st book that you're reading. You never know. And that's the charm of it, is you never know. The future is so powerful and so compelling because you just don't know what's going to happen. If you knew everything, I'd argue the spice of life would just be missing. The drive to go ahead, to go forward, to strive, to live, and to struggle and to triumph would just be lost because you already know. The second thing why you should read the book, the way I see it, is because I think of the people who I really want to be close to. I think of leaders that I would like to be surrounded with. Say, for instance, I've always wanted to have dinner with, let's say, for instance, Barack Obama. He's a great leader, I think. I think he's great personally, more than professionally. But he's a great guy, you must admit. He's the most powerful person in the world, generally. And so I said, what is it I could do to have dinner with Barack Obama? I mean, because I'm only so young, it's really not possible for me at this stage to go and have dinner with him. So I thought, well, I could have dinner with him. So what I did one day was bring his book, his autobiographical book, Dreams from a Father, and I started reading as I had my dinner. So, it gave me this idea that actually I'm just having, Barack Obama is not here physically present on the table, but actually what I'm doing is really, dining with him because I'm reading about his life, his ideas, what happened to him. He is sharing with me what happened in his life, the things he did, the pot he cracked, which he writes very candidly in his book. Isn't that a great idea? Isn't that a great thought to have? To know that you can have dinner with almost anyone you want, and all you gotta do is, sit down and maybe watch a documentary about him, maybe watch an interview about him, maybe read his books, maybe talk about him with your friends. What you're really doing is talking about him, knowing more about him as you have dinner, and it really is, having dinner with him. And that's where I say, you need to be open, because it's very easy to say, well, it's not exactly dinner, is it? Because he's not there. That's right, he's not there, and it's not the same as, when the person is present physically. But guess what? It's much, much, much better than to do nothing, to not have the person and just say, well, that's it. Isn't it better to find out of the person? Who knows, maybe you find out something about him that you've never found out before, that inspires you so much that you write 2,000 letters to him before finally and one day he gives up and he calls you to really have dinner with him. That is the kind of spirit that you should live by, that makes a difference in your life. And if you live with that kind of character and spirit and freedom and courage every day, I'll tell you what, at the end of it, sooner or later, you'll realize that it was all worth it, that your decisions were correct, that your act of never giving up, that your act of being different from others was the right one. Because being average is not a good quality of life. Average is just a word, but what average really means is a bunch of people who have settled down for less than what they believe that they deserve, that they want to have. When you go above average, above and beyond average, it means that you know what you want, but more importantly, unlike average people, that you decide not to settle down no matter what until you get what it is that you want. That's where your psychology, your attitude, your discipline, your perseverance comes in. That's where your beliefs comes in. That's where your willingness to put everything on stake to get that thing that you want comes in. That is where you get it. If you want the island, you gotta burn the freaking bridges. Unless you burn the bridges, there's no way you're getting the island. You know? So if you have something in mind that you know is obtainable, but more importantly sustainable both to you and the people around you, your family and friends, then the best way to have it is to lose everything else. So then you don't have this choice of going back or, you know, being an average person. You know, the word mediocre comes from two words in Latin. I can't remember the exact root words, but it's something median and ochreous. I think it's median and I think it's median and ochreous. Median meaning middle and ochreous meaning rocks. So that plant lies right between the rocks. It can never really grow high. It's never really under, just between the rocks. That's all it is. You don't want to be that person. Change comes from two things, either inspiration or desperation. You don't want to wait until you are desperate to change. You want to change because you are inspired. Inspired by the vision you have for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your country, and if you're really sincere, for the mankind, that we all share this world together. Inspiration for the quality of physical health you could have, for the vibrancy you can have in your life, for the quality of relationship, for the passion and the intimacy and the love and the unconditional joy of fulfillment that comes out from relationships. If you want the inspiration to have not good kids, not good parents, but great, outstanding parenthood, that kind of inspiration, that makes a big difference in quality of your life. Now you could wait for that moment when you are so down and so desperate that suddenly that part of you rises up and says, this is not who you are, and you change. There's no reason to wait for that moment to be desperate and to say, this is it, I'll never do it again. There's no reason, because now you're educated, you're intelligent. That's why you're proactive. Being proactive and flexible is a great asset. It's one of the greatest strengths, I'd say, to be able to, you know, to see what's coming ahead and to act now. That is a big quality. You want to do that. You don't want for something or someone to come and to hit you so hard that you finally decide that this is it, I will change. That's the painful path. That is surely a way of change. That is surely a route to change, but it's more painful than choosing inspiration. You never know which book will inspire you to see a dream that you've never dreamt before. A dream that is so powerful that all your spirit and heart comes together with one, in alignment, where you commit to an action to make it possible. That is the kind of idea that changes everything, absolutely everything in the world. I sometimes wonder how many people on this earth really live a quality life, that at the end of their lives, when they're about to die, they're really fulfilled with what they've done, the quality of the life that they've lived, the relationships they have, the work they did, the legacy that they left. How many people do you really think really die a fulfilled life? And you know, common sense tells me that because we all have just one life, and there will be a day when we die, I think we'd all want to sit in our deathbeds if we get that chance to do so. Then when you're lying on the deathbed where we have no energy to stand up, where we have nothing to do, then all we can do is really, you know, take a flashback at our lives. That moment, if there are major things that you didn't do, then it will cause an extremely painful and anguish that will never go away until you die. You know, to be lying in that bed thinking, oh my God, I wish I could have done that. Just thinking about that now, I'm only 24, but even now when I think about it, it gives me a very sharp pain in my heart. Just think about it. If you close your eyes and not just think, but really feel in your heart that you are in the last moments of your life, and as you close your eyes to take some rest before you pass away, you know, as you wait for the next few months, next few days, next few hours, next few weeks before you go, you pass away, before you go to the source of the Creator. What would you feel like if you knew that there were so many things you never achieved in your life? That is definitely an ugly feeling, because that is where helplessness, restlessness comes in, because you can't do nothing now. Now your body is frail, your mind is frail. Perhaps you wanted to climb a mountain. You can't do that anymore. Perhaps you wanted to meet a person. You can't do that anymore. Perhaps you wanted to write a book that you never did. You can't do that anymore in your deathbed. Perhaps you wanted to do some other job that you were always passionate about, but you didn't have the courage to go to do it because you feared that leaving this present job or present academia may mean that that is not the safest route. What about my family, my finances? That's, the ideal job that I'm looking for doesn't pay me good. Now I want you to come a step back and think about the last few years of your life. If you knew that you would be dying 5 years from today, what would you look back and think about the quality of your life? What would you want to change? Then think about 25 years from today. If you were to die 25 years from today, how would you live your life? If you knew for absolute certainty that you'd be dying on 25 years from today, which is 2038, what would be your approach to life? How would you live your life? And I can assure you, the truth in that answer is the ideal answer for you. That's the best answer for you. Because that answer is not affected by the society, by your parents, by your friends, by what the whole world expects out of you. That decision will be purely your choice and what you want. And that is the best decision for you. That is the best choice for you because it's your choice. It sinks in with what you want, what your desire is. That kind of thing. And let's think about this. If next month was your last year in your professional career, what would you do? If 3 months from now was your last day in your personal life, what would you do differently? If 5 months from now was the end of your career life, what would you do differently about your career? I think the answer to all of that question, the one common denominator you have in all of those questions is that you wouldn't be lazy, you wouldn't procrastinate, and you just do things because you won't be getting another chance. The question then, this is where it comes down to, how active would you be? What would you do in the 24 hours of your life, every day? How many hours would you sleep? How many hours would you eat? How many hours would you travel? How many hours would you work? How many hours would you depress yourself? How many hours would you think about joy? How many minutes would you think about ecstasy? How many minutes would you spend with your family? All that time, right? It's best to think about it and divide your time and effort and spirit now and how you want to just, live the rest of your life. Then wait for that last moment to come and to know that there's nothing you can do now. That helplessness will kill you. I think it'll kill you even after you pass away. What kind of bitterness when you know that you will be dead, that time is limited and you can't do anything and you haven't done so many things in life that you've always wanted to do, then you will die before the death comes in, because that feeling of pain and heartache sinks in. So my advice is that you read books to make decisions that make a progressive difference in the quality of your life. If you want to be a good person, personally, professionally, socially, physically, then the best way to do it is to devote some time, as per your schedule, to reading quality books with sincerity and open heart. I wish you good luck. Live strong and live with passion. God bless.